my voice now. You want an Oreo? You don't need to hear it. You just need to see the chart.
Hello.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome into So What's channel. Today we are discussing the fashions of Wicked. As you can tell, we're dressed in the pink and green. We got that theme going on. And we're if disclaimer, if you have not seen it, you do not want to listen to this stream right now.
They
Maybe
can still
come back
listen.
later.
They can still listen.
What?
They can still listen, but just spoiler warning.
They listen, they're gonna have a lot of spoiled stuff. So my recommendation is to maybe come back to it because we're gonna be talking some gems and some little nuggets from the film, talking about the fashion. So I'm Elvatanza, and I am a fashion designer for over 20 years. I graduated from Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, where I studied fashion design, and I worked up in the garment district for a short time designing children's wear and women's sportswear apparel. And I own a studio in Florida by my namesake, and I just love fashion. On my So What channel, we talk about craft and we talk about sewing. I give tips and tricks for sewing and all of those things. And so naturally, with the Wicked and the costume designer Paul Tazewell, I was so excited. There's that word, so excited. I was thrilled.
I'm so excited.
I was so excited. I was thrilled to see how his brain worked as far as incorporating things from the book. There were subtle things that he did in the movie. And by the way, I would like to go back and see it again because I'm sure there are some things that I missed. But my favorite thing right now, well, I'll tell you once we get going. I'm not going to talk about it right now. But we're going to talk about, first off, some of the fashions that caused this movie to draw us into it. It caused us to almost feel like we were a part of the movie, that we weren't just there watching it, but we were actually living it out. And I was actually able to reflect back on things as a woman, as a black woman. I was able to see some references that points me back to subtleties that have happened in my life growing up and in the history of the African American person. So, with that being said, I would like my guests to introduce themselves.
Okay.
Um, I'm Natalie. I'm all about glam.
I love your name. What makes you all about glam? Tell us a little bit about that.
I just love shopping, buying clothes. I love perfume. I love all things glam.
I love it. And you've seen Wicked, correct?
Yes, I saw it today actually.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to chat about it.
Oh, see, it's
So
Um
rubbing
good.
off. You're so
Oh my
excited. You're
gosh,
so excited.
yes, I'm so excited. Triple dot said, and you just can't hide it. But my name is Reaper, aka Dreia. I do stream on Twitch, and I know this is a little bit different than the usual content you guys are used to seeing from me. But I do know fashion. This is my wonderful mother, and so I grew up watching all of her designs and learning firsthand from her. So even though I don't normally like get super fancy on my streams, I do in my personal life know how to put things together and talk about different fabrics and looks and stuff like that, and I get that from my mom. So I'm excited to kind of talk about like the fashions in the movie itself and some of the stuff that they did for the promotional like tour that they did as well.
Mhm. So one of the things, let's kind of do an overall uh, chat about the movie and then pick up on the details. So from a fashion designer's perspective, listening again to the costume designer, and I just want to shout out everybody because he had a team of people. He didn't just do everything on his own. He came up with the concept, and then you usually have assistant designers, you have so many, you have tailors and seamstresses, you have so many people that work behind the scene. And I was so happy to see on his Instagram, he actually listed and shouted out everybody that was part of his team. And I was like, I want to be part of that team.
Oh,
He
that
said
is
that
actually
he worked closely with the makeup artist too.
Right. And so a lot of the his concepts and his vision came to life. He basically was the captain, if I could frame it like that. He was the captain, he was the designer, the costume designer over everything. And there was a theme that he ran throughout the movie, and he had a love for circles and bubbles, and so when you think of Ariana Grande's gown, he
beautiful
talked about how
gowns.
he gowns, yes, plural, right, and Cynthia Erivo's, her outfits, everything had a thread that tied together, the butterflies, the color, and we'll get into the representation of the colors and what that means as well. But the fabrics were translucent, they were iridescent, they were sparkly at times,
Whimsical.
very
Yeah.
whimsical. So what is your thoughts on just looking at the fabrics that they chose for the film?
Well, I think, the kind of common theme, as you can see, like we have it on all of us today, like the pink and green. So that was kind of like the basis for which they started. Glinda is always pink, Elphaba is green from her green skin, to, just kind of the details that they add. And so I think that's where they started from first. And then when people think of Glinda, they think of cutesy, whimsical. And so a lot of her costumes in the movie and just like fitting her personality, it was very fun and whimsy, and like you said, full of bubbles and circles, because if you think back to the original Wizard of Oz, she comes down in a bubble with the crown and the wand.
Yeah.
And so they had a lot of inspiration to draw from the original Wizard of Oz, and from the Broadway play, and from the book, to kind of bring those details in. And then with Elphaba, we think of black and green, and kind of like harsh lines a little bit, and so they incorporated that into her outfits. Like if you noticed, a lot of the stuff that she wore, she had like stiff shoulder pads, and like it was like she had a little bit of like curvature to some of her outfits, but it was very structured. And so that's how they kind of contrasted in between Glinda and Elphaba, whereas like I said, Glinda is very free and floaty, whereas Elphaba is structured and a little bit more rigid, because they wanted to show that contrast.
Mhm.
I've heard that Paul Tazewell, that he modeled Glinda's bubble gown, the pink bubble dress, after the original. He tried to get it as close
Ah,
as possible to
okay.
the original dress, and I thought that was cool. I actually saw on Instagram the
Oh, the
comparison, and
comparison. That's really cool.
yeah, it looks pretty similar.
Oh
He did it.
wow.
He did a pretty good job.
Oh yeah, he was very methodical in how he brought things to life. And but we have to also look at the contrast, because pink, and I talked about this on another with another person about what actually Natasha from Hair Hugs by Natasha, we talked about it, and how pink was always, it represented a girl and flirty and pretty and delicate, whereas the black was always associated with evil, or now it's classy, but it was always dark. It wasn't a happy time. And I think that brought a little detail to the movie as well, because when you saw Galinda at first, that's what
Yes.
she called herself,
It's
Galinda.
Linda.
Linda, the G is silent. And so you saw you saw um how she was just having fun. Whereas when the camera was on uh, Elphaba, she was not happy because her childhood, from the time she was a little girl, a baby, she was shunned by her parents and then by her peers in school. So and she was never given an opportunity to come out of who she was, and the kindness. She really had a lot of kindness. In fact, at some points I felt like she had more kindness than Galinda.
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
all of that was brought out in the clothing and in the fabric type, even because Galinda's gown was a sheer organza, a sheer silk organza. And one of the characteristics of organza is that it's a very stiff fabric. And so when she moved, when she came down those steps, you could see it swishing from side to side to side. And again, you could see all of the circles in her gown.
Yeah. I like how you highlighted like the type of material that they use. One thing I did notice is that after the kind of pivotal scene where they were at the Ozdusk ballroom, and she had that emotional scene with Galinda, and she does the popular song number. uh
That's very
you know
cute.
that's when you start to see a transition with Elphaba's clothing. Like she still had, like, it's still very structured, but now it's a little bit more stylish. Like she has on a cute little vest with the school, like, stripes that they're wearing, and so she still has her classic black, but now it's a little bit more stylish because she's starting
You're
to be a little bit
stylish.
accepted into the popular society now that she's friends with Glinda.
I love those little subtle things in the movie. And like
Mhm.
when you said the popular thing, there was a scene after that song
Mhm.
where everything was like pink. I don't know if they did like a pink filter on the
Oh
camera.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Where she's singing in the hallway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's almost pink.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like they did little things like that.
And
Speak.
then
Oh, go
the
ahead. Sorry.
we talked about the Glinda being pink, but Elphaba couldn't change who she was. She was green.
Yeah.
And I think originally when she kept saying she wanted to see the Wiz, I think she wanted to change her color. She
Mhm.
wanted to be like everybody else was. And we'll get to that. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But the green, if we talk about the color green, green has been associated where people say she was green with envy,
Mhm.
or sometimes money, uh, green for growth. And so there are a lot of things associated with the color green. And so I still say the green and the pink, there was a huge contrast between the two.
Yeah. Uh, More so talking just about the themes, like you mentioned it earlier, where before you saw, uh, Wicked play, if you read the books, uh, just basing it off of the original Wizard of Oz, everyone thought that Glinda was the good witch. But now that you're getting a little bit more depth, one thing that I thought was super funny in kind of the beginning parts when they're at Shiz, and Glinda, doesn't get her way with having her own separate suite and getting, tutored by Madame Morrible, and she's just like, I didn't get my way. And so a lot of the themes that you see through the movie is like Glinda is only good in a sense that she's willing to do so much as long as it doesn't affect her popularity. And so you see that specifically towards the end of the movie, where you have that big decision that we'll talk about later. Like I said, don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but this is a pattern that you see where the only reason she ended up being nice to Elphaba is because Elphaba did something nice for her as far as talking to Madame Morrible about letting her, train, or she was gonna leave and not not partake of her teaching. So yeah.
And then talking about Elphaba's outfit, her first outfit, it was made from, I think they said, a felt type fabric wool, or I might be wrong on the wool, but I know it was some type of felt, and she had five different hats that she wore as well. And Paul Tazewell said that he played around with origami and different shapes.
Hmm.
And again, her hats, to make sure, that's why I wore my hat tonight too. This circle around the rim of her hat, still keeping in line with the circles. And one thing about a circle is there's no beginning and no ending point to a circle. And so both of them, that's almost like a merge between the two characters. That's the one of the things they had in common, almost like a hint to, we have more in common than we do different. And we hear that term a lot even today, that we can have so much more in common with a person. So I do like all of the fine details that he used to bring out their personality. Each each garment that they wore showed us a little bit more of their personality, because you could definitely see Galinda's personality in everything that she wore. And she didn't back off. She didn't back away from who she was. Who she was represented in the garments that she wore and how they were constructed.
Yeah,
And
like
this
they were just like you said, very cutesy type of things because that's her
Yeah.
personality. She's like a girly girl. Like even her robe
I
that she's
love
wearing, all of
Mhm.
like her like
I love
makeup vanities, like every little detail just kind of fit the personality that they were trying to portray. That she's just like this cutesy popular girl that like everybody loves and adores. To contrast, what Elphaba went through.
a lot
Mhm.
of suits.
Yeah,
Did you think those were like 30s and 40s style suits
Well,
in the shoes?
he said that the book, I believe the original Wizard of Oz was from 1939, the book, the original book. And he said that he wanted to be true to the book, the author, and what, because there were a lot of things in the book, and I haven't read the book, but he said that there were things in the book that were different. And I'm going to talk about one of those other
it
differences
was
that
May
we see.
17th, 1900, when the A Wizard of Oz book came out.
Oh
Oh
wow. But I
wow.
think
I
there are
didn't know
two
it was
though.
that long.
I
Well,
think
so
there are two
so
books.
the Wizard of Oz book is by L. Frank Baum, and then there's the Wicked books, which are different. What the Broadway
Mm.
musical is based off of.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
thought the outfits, like the little suits that Galinda wore and her shoes, they all look kind of 30s, 40s.
And he said that he did a lot of research, and that's one thing that I want to touch on, because as a fashion designer and a costume designer, you take inspiration from the past. The past is supposed to, you can look back on the past and interpret it for now and for the future. And so you just, I think sometimes people feel like you just pull things out of the air when you're designing. And if we can go off topic a little and talk about Ruth Carter and the Black Panther, when she started the costumes for the Black Panther, she did a lot of research on the different tribes in Africa, the different countries, and what the colors meant, what patterns meant. And so, as a designer and costume designer, those are some of the things that you're going to be doing. You're going to be looking at a concept or a theme, and then trying to run that theme throughout the movie, because another area that he focused on were butterflies, and we see butterflies throughout the movie and on Galinda's her school uniform. She, I think she had a butterfly embroidered on one of her blouses.
Mhm.
And so those little details, I think, make the movie. And those are some of the things, like when you go back, you start to notice things that you didn't see before. And that's what makes it so much fun.
That's why I can't wait to watch it again, so I can like I was paying attention obviously to the story, but the second watch I'm going to be paying attention for all those like Easter eggs. This is a spoiler, so close your ears, close your ears, close your ears. Um, the What did you think about the having the two original Glinda and Elphaba in the Emerald City? They were doing the Wizomania play, and their outfits, they tried to keep an original nod to them, as you know, Adina Menzel as Elphaba and Kristen Chenoweth as Galinda. What did you think about that?
It was a really cute moment in the movie, and
Mhm,
their outfits were cute. I was like, oh, they're in there. You know, it was kind of a surprise moment.
Yeah,
mhm.
I thought
And
that was
the
really cool.
one of the things when they got to see the Wiz or the Wizard,
The Wiz is a difference.
yeah, the Wizard,
There's so
when they
many
got to
different.
see, I know when they got to see the Wizard, I don't know if you caught how Alphaba's face lit up when she saw green and
Mhm.
saw everything. The Emerald City was green, and the wizard was wearing green, and everything was green. And so for her, again, we're going to talk about some of the practical things that were emotional for me, but she lit up because she could relate, she could identify with the color green, whereas prior to that, nothing else was green. She hadn't seen anything other than maybe grass, but she hadn't seen anything else that was green. And in fact, talking about grass, when she first introduced herself, she says, "No, I didn't become green because I ate grass."
Yeah.
So she must have gotten that question alike. But it was just so sad to me that when her father saw her, he shunned her and said, "Take her away, get her away from me." That to me was such a harsh rejection
Heartbreaking.
to have to go through, because if nobody else loves you, your parents should be the ones that love you.
Yeah.
And it's doubly sad for her because do you guys know who her real father is? It's
No.
hinted at the beginning. Who has a whole city that's green? The
The
wizard.
wizard?
Yep, the wizard is her. So if you look back to the very beginning scene where they're singing "No One Mourns the Wicked," and they talk about she had a mother, she had a father, and then it cuts to the part where the mother is like getting rowdy, going to party. If
Oh
you look
yeah,
at the
that's
person who's
right.
I
wearing
missed
that hat,
that.
and he's like, "Oh, here's my green elixir." It's heavily implied that the wizard is her father, and so that further just
No
kind
way, I
of
missed that.
yeah. So it's heavily
Well, I thought
implied.
that,
Mhm,
yeah, I thought that in the beginning,
mhm.
but then somewhere along the line, I just didn't even revisit it during the movie. So yeah, I could totally see that,
Yep.
because I didn't think her
Terrible
natural
when I
dad
watch
was.
movies. I miss things.
Yeah.
I'm notorious for missing things.
And that's why I love listening to the soundtrack because listen and just like watching the Broadway play because if you listen to the person singing the line like "Have another drink, my dark-eyed beauty," it's the same actor that's singing as the wizard. So like if you were like paying attention to the subtleties of the song, you're like, oh wait, I recognize that voice. It's the wizard. And so like I love how they showed that moment, even though his back was turned, you could still see he had on kind of like the stripes and stuff that he was wearing in when we see him in the Emerald City.
I even
Oh,
like
oh my
the
gosh, Triple
outfits
Dot, did I blow your
for
mind?
the
Sorry.
dancers. You know the dancers
Yeah.
when they were singing and dancing. I like all their costumes too.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Jackets
I was
and
definitely checking out all and the detail in all of the garments. Like I just kept I kept saying, "Oh my gosh, how many hours did it take them to make these costumes? All of these
period.
people. It took a whole team, and all I mean, and the garments were intricate. They weren't just uh, things just thrown together. They had ruffles, they had the big puffy sleeves, they had the scalloped bottoms or ruched bottoms, and
Uh, Triple Dot said that there was so much the outfits, the scenery. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second. Let me just block this person, and we will continue. All right. So uh anyways, as a fashion designer, what is like how do you get started with just like coming up from like concept to finished product? How do you kind of start that process? Because I'd love to like hear your thoughts of like if you were designing a this for a movie, like how would you do this concept?
well, I think if I could draw from what Paul Tazewell did, he said he read the book, he looked at some of the original costumes, and he wanted to stay true to the book but add his own flair to it. And so you have to do research. Again, you can't just pull things out of your head. Those things are going to inspire you to create something new. And when you start sketching, a lot of times the sketch that you come up with, by the time it gets draped,
Mm-hmm.
you like on a mannequin and then on the real person, sometimes the fabric will speak to you and tell you. Now it doesn't, you don't hear a voice, but I mean the way the fabric moves, like I said, silk organza is stiff, it's sheer, it's translucent, but it's stiff. And so you can't make it do something, it's not going to be like chiffon is a very flowy fabric, and it's going to drape really soft, whereas the silk organza is going to be like stiff, and so it's going to give you that volume. If you could think of Galinda's pink gown and how the folds of the fabric, they just stood out. They, and I'm sure they had crinoline, that's an underskirt, I'm sure they had things like that structure under her the skirt part of the gown and the top, the way it, there were like two layers in the bodice up top where it sat away from, you have part that was close to her, and then you had the part that kind of stood away from her a
Mm-hmm.
little bit to give it that extra little flair. And so as a designer, what it's called, when we were in school, we had to go do market research. And market research could be going to a museum, looking at, depending on what period you were going to be using as drawing inspiration from, you might go to a museum, you might look at an art collection. Like there's a designer, his name is Urte, and Urte was a designer. I can't remember his era. I think it was like 20s. Everything is very stylized. And so if you wanted to do something from the 20s, a lot of the designers would go and look at his collection and then color blocking, all of that kind of stuff. So when you're designing, you're just looking at fabric, you're gathering fabric, you're looking at old pictures, old
Okay.
gowns, going maybe to the museum and looking at some old garments from that era. I know Fashion Institute, we have a whole floor of garments that date back where designers can go there, or they used to be able to go there. I believe they still can. You can go and actually see garments that were handmade from different eras.
Like
Uh,
the fabric is really important to tell the story then.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I'm sure like the costume designers have access to like all of the like Hollywood like archives and such, and so like I'm sure they're able to go like, oh, this is what Dorothy wore in the original, Wizard of Oz, and they're able to look at that stuff and get inspired by that. So kind of switching gears and talking more about makeup, all about glam. You're the makeup queen. So I consider you the makeup queen. So what is like some of the things like you notice how like from the nails that Alphaba was wearing, she had like the
I
black and green
know.
and
It
all of
was
the
like
stuff. Like what is some things that you
greenish.
notice?
I think like just all the like they had a lot of pinks and greens and even her nails like had the little iridescent greenish
Yes.
and it had a little pink I think I think in it too like
Yeah.
just
There's been
it
so
just
many things I've seen on TikTok like inspired as far as like even me today doing like my eye makeup. There's been a lot of tutorials that I've seen people doing trying to
yeah.
incorporate the pinks
The
and
green
greens.
skin.
Yeah.
Like I read somewhere that they really didn't want it to look like face paint.
Hmm.
So they
And they did
had
a
to
good job.
really yeah,
They
I
really
think they did a
did.
good job. They wanted it to like actually look like her skin and not face paint.
Yeah, because I saw like one of the behind the scenes things that I watched. They talked about how they asked her if she wanted to fully get painted green or if she just wanted to do AI or not AI, sorry, like just kind of like CGI for her
CG or
makeup,
something.
and she wanted to have that authentic feel where they did the makeup. And so I watched a couple videos of the makeup artists
Hmm.
where they were using the different greens and like doing the contouring and adding on the freckles so that it
Yeah.
gave that realistic look. Shadowhawk asked all about glam. I see you're wearing green. Are you team Alphaba now?
Well, I like both of them for different reasons. Because I like Glinda because she's a good she's okay, she has good and bad because she has a heart, but it's like always like about what she can gain, I think.
Yeah, she's self-centered. She's
Yeah,
self-centered.
Hmm.
she's self-absorbed.
Self-absorbed.
It's self-absorbed.
But
Yes.
like her outfits are cute and I think she she thinks that she's coming across as like nicer than she is. And
Hmm.
Galin Alphaba, I like her because she has a really good heart. She's a good person and she just wants to fit in, and not be looked at as, weird.
Yeah.
Wants to be accepted.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
one thing that I wanted to highlight on it's you won't really see this until we get to part two of Wicked, but if you notice, like, so just spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, this is a spoiler. So at the end, when Alphaba and Glinda make their decisions, like Alphaba's gonna go off and do her own thing and try and save the animals. Glinda's gonna go back and be part of the system where she thinks she can make change, but slowly they start to the wizard and Madame Morrible use Glinda to kind of keep the status quo, and they're like, oh, we're gonna prop you up and give you all this status. You'll start to notice that her gowns are shifting from pink to like a purple color because it's mixing. She's starting to become morally complicit in what they're doing, and so that's another way that they're highlighting the emotions that she's having by changing the colors and kind of patterning of her gowns.
I think that's cool how they do that.
Hmm. Yeah.
I want to go back to the circles because the other surprise that we saw was that the ruby slippers were crystal. They weren't red.
Oh well, that was
And
the original thing in the book. They
right.
were never supposed to be red. They were always
Well, they
silver.
said that they said that they made them red in The Wizard of Oz because they thought it was a good contrast on the yellow brick road. But
Yeah.
originally they were crystal like that. And if you think back, what did we see? We see the circles, all of the circles all around it. So again, that the little theme that we see throughout the movie is the pink, the green, the circles, the
Mhm.
butterflies. Those are given, and it's interesting to see how they were incorporated into the different costumes. And speaking of costumes, Reaper shared with me that Universal Studios is supposed to have the garments, and I am definitely gonna go and try to see them in
Yep.
person
Don't they
because
have a
Had
whole
oh
exhibit of this, a
yep.
whole art?
It had so the gown that you see in the very first song with No One Mourns the Wicked, they have that gown with Galinda's crown and wand, and then they have Elphaba's black ensemble when she's defying gravity.
Love
do they
I
just
that.
have the two, or do they have like a lot of the costumes?
I think I didn't. The video wasn't super long, so I just saw those two. So I don't know how much. It was like a whole room of stuff, so I don't know how much they had there. But wanted to highlight something that you talked about earlier about like the emotions that the movie evoked and kind of some of the thoughts. This is the only time in I guess in the Broadway play there's only been one other time where Elphaba has been played by a black woman, because previously they said the green paint which just wasn't showing up well on their skin, and so that's why they kind of steered away from. But I think, looking at Cynthia Erivo's performance, having a black woman as Elphaba just highlighted so much. There were so many underlying tones of like not being accepted, having to work harder than everybody else, and to not, to go through hoops to be accepted and to be made felt as valid. And so I think it was a great decision on their part to cast a black woman for this role. There are so many things like in Defying Gravity, she's like, I'm through accepting limits because somebody tells me so. And so that's a lot of things that we as black women feel like. Some people tell us to try and put us into a box, and you have to break through those things and defy gravity, not let anybody pull you down. And so I loved, even from the subtle things like allowing Elphaba to have braids. That all of those things were just
Yeah,
so cool, like adding to her whole wardrobe and just kind of overall look. I think they like knocked it out of the park with those tones.
And that was
I think
something that
so.
Paul Tazewell said, that he said she's about fashion.
Mhm.
Even outside of the movie, we talked about
Oh yeah.
how he talked about how it was important for him to let her personality shine even in the film, because she was a fashionista, and he wanted that to be portrayed in the movie, and I think he did a great job doing that. And Cynthia Erivo is, I believe, on Vogue. I think it's Vogue or Ebony, one of those magazines. She has a whole
Vanity
photo
Fair.
shoot.
Was it Vanity Fair? Because I know I saw a bunch of stuff combo with Ariana
Yeah.
Grande and Cynthia Erivo for
No,
the
this one
costumes.
is solely her, but not in
Oh, okay.
costume. This is a fashion shoot, a fashion shoot where she's actually modeling some way out clothes. Like you can really see her thinking out of the box, and I think
They
that's
covered up
wonderful.
her piercings. She wanted to get like they put prosthetic ears on her
Oh,
Oh,
to
really?
cover
I
because
cool.
she
didn't
has a
know
lot of
that.
piercings.
Oh,
And
okay.
she didn't, instead of taking them out, they put prosthetic ears on her. I saw a video.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
And I'm
She,
glad you brought up that point of the that she's a fashionista in real life, because I think they did a great job of kind of for the promotional tour adding those elements of their own fashion, but still like having them in character. Like you see Ariana Grande, she had this outfit where it was like a pink checkered outfit, like from, it looked like, you know, like from Grease era, like the movie Grease, that type of era, type of outfit that she had
That's the
on.
50s.
50s. And then Cynthia Erivo, she was wearing a lot of black with like embellishments of green for her gowns, and then she had this like lime green dress that she wore for one of the photo shoots. And so I love how stylists kind of incorporate, you know, for the, you know, actresses, like when they go on this promotional tour. Another great example of this is Zendaya, when what's his name? La Roche, the stylist for Zendaya. He is on point for incorporating the movie she's promoting. Like when she did Challengers, which was the tennis movie, a lot of her outfits were inspired by tennis fashion. And so
And she went to a tennis match too.
yeah, and her shoes had like the tennis balls, and then when she was doing promotional stuff for Spider-Man, she had like a spider web type of dress that was still like very fashionable, but you knew what movie she was promoting. And I love how stylists can take elements from the movie and still make it look like high fashion and look really, really cool without it looking cheesy.
I agree. I totally agree. And I just, again, going back to the nails, I did notice the Cynthia Erivo's green nails, and they just added everything, every little detail adds to
The story.
the story, and it pulls you in. And as a black woman, it hurt my heart when they took the professor away, because it reminded me of slavery. And when they took us from Africa, and we because if you go and look in history, we have a vast history of knowledge, things that we've contributed to the United States, to Europe, and it's almost like for a long time it was wiped away. There's this little it's not really a poem, but it talks about the different inventions, and it says, oh, you want to get dressed, well, you're going to iron your clothes, well, this person designed that. And so like you go through the list and you'll end up with nothing in your house, because we have contributed so much. Even when I went to the Ford and Edison Museum in Winter Estates, not really museum, it's the Winter Estates in Fort Myers, Florida, I saw that it was a black man, Lewis Latimer, that actually filed the first patent for Thomas Edison. And all through school, I had never heard of Lewis Latimer until I actually saw the I don't know if it was the actual patent or if it was a copy of the original, but there were things like that. So when I go back to the movie, when they took the professor and he said, this is my last time teaching, because animals aren't allowed to teach. But it had a different connotation. Even though he was an animal, it was almost like he was saying, they're calling me an animal. And the professor that came in after him, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would be bored out of my mind. The other professor was so vibrant. And so I thought about that. And then I thought about how Elphaba was green. And it was noticeable when she walked in the room, she could not cover the fact that she was green. When we as Black women walk into a room, we cannot hide that we're Black, unless somebody is like in Imitation of Life, where she was able to pretend that she was white and her mother was my complexion. And so anytime her mother was with her, she one girl said, oh, I didn't know you had a mammy. And she said, all my life I've had a mammy. And so we see like the importance of the color. And so I think that brought out, it evoked a lot of emotion. Like, it took me back to when we were mistreated, when we were caged. I remember the story, and I can't think of the name of the man that they brought over that was in a cage in a zoo here for many years.
Mm.
Oh, starts with the O.
Yeah, I can't
Um,
remember. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember the name, but Triple Dot said that it stuck out to him when the wizard said it would be easier on quote them to have a common enemy, and so I think there's a lot of political undertones, a lot of uh, you know themes of like talking about racism and sexism and all of that in the original Wicked book, and so the film highlights that so importantly, and that's why a lot of people, like I said, were so happy that Cynthia Erivo was cast as Elphaba, because it just makes that theme hit harder because of everything that Black people and Black women have faced
and continue to
and
face.
continue to face.
And as a Black fashion designer, let's talk about that,
Talk about
because
it. Talk about it,
yes,
ma'am.
let's talk about it, because I love the fact that Ruth Carter and now Paul Tazewell, and then the stylist Jay Bolin, because he had, maybe that's what I was thinking about with the spread in Vogue. He just showed where he had a fashion spread in Vogue, but there we're few and far between, and I can't think of the woman. It was a Black designer that designed for the first lady, I think President Kennedy's wife, if I'm not mistaken, but she's virtually unknown because we just did not get, just like everything else, we did not get the credit. And so for me, as a Black designer, even now, I feel like it's so discouraging at times, because I know what I can do, but I'm not always given the opportunity to do what I can do. And to me, that's sad that I've lived all these years and I've won fashion design awards, and I even won a scholarship when I was in college for, it was called the Adam and Sophie Gimbel Fashion Design Award, which helped me to be able to stay in college.
Mhm.
And so it's very sad to me that I still have to deal with sort of proving what I can do. And it's not just me, it's other industries as well. And now with everybody talking about DEI and pulling back from DEI, the concept has been wrong. It wasn't because we weren't qualified. We've always been qualified, but we haven't been given the opportunity to do what we need to do. Even with the film industry, the people who end up making it are the ones that were either actors, or they know somebody. It's very rare that you have a Tyler Perry who kind of pulled himself up by his bootstraps. Like, he started with plays and then went into producing, and now he's made a name for himself. And then some of the Black actors, this the same thing. Why do we see the same Black actors? There's talent out there, and unfortunately it doesn't always get shown. And I think when Cynthia Erivo sings of Defying Gravity, I think that meant something to her too, because for her to be playing that role, to be able to sing the songs like she did, to do her own stunts. I read somewhere where she had to learn how to breathe differently in
Yeah, to
order to
sing.
be able to do the stunt and to be able to sing. And when she did, I was waiting for that scene. That was like, I was like, I couldn't wait till it got to that scene. And when she breaks through, I felt like she was finally free.
Hmm.
But the fact that they kept saying she's evil, we got to find somebody to make evil,
Yep, and
so that
they
people turn.
put it on her, and that was one thing. Like
That
Madame
optimism.
Morrible, yeah, Madame Morrible played that up. If you notice, like they hinted at it earlier. Madame Morrible was like, "Oh, I control weather. That's my specialty." And so in that scene where in Defying Gravity, if you notice the clouds, they start to turn green, so that everybody's like, "Oh, it's Elphaba. She's doing all this. She's wicked." When it's actually the actual wicked people that are doing it, putting the blame on Elphaba. And so that happens a lot, like you mentioned, like blamed for things that aren't our fault, saying we're unqualified when we really are. And so now with all of these initiatives, like you said, going away, it's removing that, it's putting another barrier back in place that we had removed so that we could get an equal and fair chance. And I think a lot of people don't understand that when they talk about DEI and woke and all of that. All of those those terms have been co-opted to mean something that they don't mean, and so people don't understand that.
Right. And so I think the whole play kind of put a spotlight on all of these issues. Like I've been reading, I like reading comments sometimes. And so some people who are non-melanated, they have been saying that they could see, like it opened their eyes to see, oh my gosh, like you see the privilege that Galinda had just because, like, and she tried to use that with what's the madam, the teacher, the
Oh, yeah,
Madame
instructor,
Morrible.
Yeah.
Marable. Yeah,
She tried to use her
she tried to,
entitlement.
she thought that was gonna get her in, and it was like, mm-mm. And she told her, "You're here because Elphaba was gonna leave if I didn't let you come in." And
Yeah.
so she was shocked, like, I can't believe
I didn't
I
get my
I, I,
way.
I didn't play,
I
right?
have
I
to lie
didn't get
down. Yeah.
My first time seeing Wicked was with you two.
Oh yeah, that's
When
right,
I
for
we
the
were
know.
in the
play.
play. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Uh,
That
know
was
what I was thinking? We didn't wear pink and green. We wore red and black.
that's right, because we were wearing
well.
black and white. We all wore black and white to that. I wish I had that picture.
And we had, yeah, it was like
I have the
red, black,
picture. I
and white.
don't know where the three, because I can't find. I found the two of us, but I can't find the three of us because we actually took a picture in front of the
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 playbill.
Wicked
Right,
picture.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Hmm.
looking to see if I found the picture and I couldn't, but we all had on red, black, and white. And now watching the movie, I'm like, we need a do-over. We need to
Yeah.
do pink
Yes, we
and
do.
green.
Yes, we do, so that we could do then and now,
Yes.
which I think
Pink
is
and green.
Oh yes, and
right.
pink and green. Well, I definitely think like when we get together for Christmas time that we should all go watch the movie again because I want to see it again. It'll be
Oh,
fun.
I definitely want to see it again. And I
So
actually wrote down some things. I don't know where my notes are, but I know the one about that you mentioned, Reaper, a couple of times. I had written that down, but there was one other point, something that Galinda said that was very telling, and I
yes,
thought it was an important
yes, Hawk,
thing.
you're allowed to come. It's not a girls' trip
Yes.
only. Everyone is welcome. And I love what you said about, it's crazy. Even though you're giving spoilers, I'm still lost. You're not ruining anything because I have no context. Have you never seen the Broadway play? Because I know, like, we talk about the music all the time, but my mind is blown if you've never seen the play. Because I thought you've seen the play.
No, he
Mm-mm.
never has. He knows
You've
No.
all
never
the
seen the
songs.
play? Oh my gosh! What? Okay, so first step, we go see the movie. Second step, we're going to go see the play because, like, I need to compare. I need you to compare and contrast and see just like how powerful the movie is. Oh my gosh! Okay, I can get into this. Don't get me
Well, the
started. Don't get me
set
started.
design, I thought of Shadowhawk when they did with all of the set, because my mind is like, okay, what's real, what's CGI, because it was just mind
Seamless.
blowing.
It's
Yeah.
it's funny. I'm glad you brought that up. I saw a video yesterday on TikTok where they built the scene where, ooh, excuse me, the scene where Elphaba's in the forest and they're getting ready to release the lion cub. they actually had a bunch of different flowers and there were real birds in there. And so when Cynthia Erivo was singing, the birds were like mimicking her.
Oh,
What?
And so she was like, "This is so lovely, but I need to record this, so please stop singing with me." And so people are like, "She's a real life Disney princess. Her voice is so majestic."
aw.
Oh wow. And
Uh,
speaking of Cynthia Erivo, Elphaba, the other point was when she said there's going to be a celebration throughout Oz and it will be all about me.
no,
And I was
poor
like,
Elphaba.
oh no. You know,
It,
because we know that that's her demise.
yeah.
And but she was so optimistic. She was a strong, her character was very strong, and so she was very positive. And again, we see her caring heart, and I believe that over time, which is what happens in reality, you get crushed so many times that you stop believing that you can defy gravity, you start believing the lie that people have sold you, and you stop being who you are. And finally, in the end, she says, no, I'm breaking out of this.
Mhm.
I'm going to be me. You're not going to define who I am. And I'm going to soar. I'm going to fly. And that's what I felt in the end when she sings that song and she's breaking through.
And I
Yeah,
think that's the
that's
power
one
of
of my
fashion.
favorite songs.
Oh, yeah, oh, it's such a good song. And the fact that they were singing this live while doing all these stunts will like
I
forever blow my
know.
mind. But I think that's like the importance of fashion. Like you said, fashion is a way to express yourself and, like you said, to, break free, not be bound by things. That's why I love fashion so much, because you can be as crazy and avant-garde as you like, or you could be as minimalist as you like, but it's still a form of your expression, and it's just based off of your choices and desires. And I loved all of from the costume design to the fabrics to the structuring to every little detail that they put into this film. And uh, uh so what, I have a question for you. Say
Yes.
I'm a young designer and I want to get started in this world. Like, what is some advice that you have for like a young designer, like how to get started with this? Where should they start?
One myth that I'm going to burst is everybody thinks that all fashion designers can sew. That is not true. I started sewing when I was like 5 years old, but everybody can't sew. Calvin Klein couldn't sew. There are so many top designers that could not sew. And that was one of the things I hated about Project Runway, because they have sample hands that actually sew the sample garment when they come up with a concept. So even if somebody has, you're looking for creativity. Do they have creativity? Because you can learn how to sew, and you can also have a sample hand that sews the concept for you. Nowadays, what's different from when I went to school to where people are now, a lot of stuff is being done on the computer. It's
Mm,
been being done with CAD. It's being done in, like, there are programs that actually does all of the design work. And the other designer that we wanted to join us tonight, Francesca, she has basically, she's done stuff that I haven't done, that I wouldn't begin to know how to use that particular software to do, because we I did everything by hand. I sketched by hand, I made the patterns by hand. In fact, that's how I still do it. I drape on my dress form, whereas they sketch it, they send it out, and then it's made, and then it comes back already put together. Now, sure, the couture houses, they're still doing draping on dress forms. And so I would tell a young person that, to, especially depending on what their age is, to
embrace
invest in art
technology. Yeah.
and learn technology. learn, go out and actually investigate what skills they would need, because when you go to fashion school, when to get accepted, you have to have a portfolio of your work. And so it's unlike a college, of a regular academic college where you just take a test. You do take a test to get in as well, a regular academic, like your English, your math, all of that. You do take that to get into some of the fashion schools, but they're looking for creativity. So
Mhm.
you're going to have a portfolio that conveys how you took a concept, you took inspiration, came up with a concept, and then here's the design. So
Mhm.
I think the methodology has changed now as far as fashion design. And I think anyone interested should explore. So I know that my alma mater does a summer program for students, young girls,
Oh, that's cool.
teenagers who think they want to do fashion design. So basically, investing in the future. Sometimes I do sewing classes, and actually taught fashion design, fashion and interior design in the middle school. That's what I'm certified to teach now, family and consumer science, although I'm not teaching that right now, but I did. And in fact, Francesca was one of my students that grew up. Designed in New York up until the pandemic, and then she moved back to Florida. And basically, she's seen things change where, like I said, the fashion industry has really taken a hit with what's called fast fashion,
Mhm.
where all of these, like your Fashion Nova, your
Shein,
uh, Shein,
Temu.
Temu, they're just whipping this stuff out, and it's not necessarily quality. It's inexpensive, cheap fabric, and they've ruined the workmanship like I do. And if you don't have a Beyonce or a celebrity to purchase those types of things, then it's very difficult because there are a lot of hours. If you go back, and I know on TikTok or Instagram, you can find images or reels of them constructing Galinda's pink gown, and
Oh
you can
gosh,
see all of the work that went into that one gown. But it, like I said, it was a crew of people. Paul Tazewell wasn't sitting there
doing
doing
it
all the work.
himself. Yeah.
Right.
I
And
wonder if I just
as a
wonder,
real
did they
fashion
have
designer,
to? Oh, sorry, just a quick question. Do they make multiples of the same gown, like in case something happens to it, like while they're filming, or do they just have that one and you're like,
Good
don't mess it up?
now that
I
that
know.
is a that's a great question, which I do not know the answer to. I know that Cynthia Erivo's hat, they had at least five of those. So I'm not certain, because the costume design world is a little bit different than ready to wear. And
Mm.
there's a lot about the costume design industry that I don't know. So, but that's a great question. I'll try to research that and find out, because that was a great question.
Hawk had some questions for you in the chat. He said, so has this movie inspired your next Elvatanza design? Hi, Lisa.
I I wouldn't say it inspires my next Elvatanza designs. It inspires me to be more creative. That's
Okay.
what it inspires me to do. To actually start doing more sketching, to start researching. Like when I was in school, I did a collection, and I haven't done that in a long time, but I want to do something way out, which is it pushes me beyond my barriers, because my love has always been children's wear,
Mhm.
and I think I still flourish in children's wear. So women's wear is a challenge for me, because I love cutesy things with kids stuff. And so it definitely would push me to do more research. When I went to Paris,
Oh,
I found
good old
this little
Paris.
Yeah, petty. I found this really cute French museum, and if you ever go somewhere like Paris or London to the Victoria and Albert Museum, y- you can see like they didn't have a sewing machine. They did these stitches by hand, and to see the
Crazy.
stitching, like they what did they do? They didn't have anything to do. They didn't have all the activities that we have. Women couldn't do, especially if they weren't high society. They were running their homes, and so they would sit and sew. But some of those stitches, oh my God, they are so beautiful. The
Yeah.
handwork is just absolutely beautiful.
Incredible.
Lakrita said that there will sometimes be extra versions of one dress depending on what's next, what's needed in the scene. Disney is notorious for having different versions of their costumes depending on if they were up close to guests or on stage or film. So they had to have made like multiple gowns. Can you imagine the how much fabric and just like time went into, especially because if you look at Galinda's dress in the beginning, like that looks like a lot of fabric,
A
and so I can only
It
lot.
is a
imagine it.
lot of fabric. That is a lot of fabric. That
Uh,
that that was a ton of fabric. And then not to mention the under part, the undergarment under the fabric and
is
all of
it
those
called bustling?
layers.
I'm learning words. Is it bustling? Is that what it's
Well,
called?
bustling is on like on a wedding gown when the train is long and then you bustle it to make it like pull up where it's not the train anymore.
I
That's
never knew.
bustling. But it was more gauze. Like they did multiple layers of gauze on Galinda's gown.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
So
Uh,
when you look at a costume, you know exactly how they made it.
No, not necessarily. And that's why I love even on high end clothing, I love looking to see how something is constructed. In fact, years ago, one of my friends, I didn't know she had stopped talking to me, but she stopped talking to me, and then like the following year she apologized for not talking to me, and I was like, "Oh, you stopped talking to me?" I really hadn't noticed. And I was like, "Why? What did I do?" Like I didn't even know I had done anything. And she said, well, every time I show you a garment, you always have to look on the inside. You have to inspect it as if it's cheap. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's not what I was doing. I said, that's how I learn by looking inside. I'm always curious. I like the feel. Because she said, because she made a point to say, you're always feeling the fabric. But that's how I learn. That's how I feel the texture of the fabric, and I see how it's constructed. Did they use, I taught
Wow.
some of this in one of my streams, the different types of seam finishes, and it would be interesting to me because for silk organza I use French seams, and a French seam is a seam within a seam, and I taught that in my first one of my sewing streams, I think about 2 3 weeks ago. So it would be interesting to me to see because sometimes with costumes, because it's a costume, it's not going to be made like a couture gown.
they're
So
just
that's how they
making it
can
for the. It doesn't have to be like
aesthetic,
perfect. Yeah, they're making it
right?
aesthetically pleasing, but it doesn't have to be like technically correct because it's not going to be worn like term.
It's going to be
Um,
technically correct, but it's not going to be as it's not going to be as labor intensive. They're going to
gotcha.
make sure it's not going to fall apart. But
Okay.
say they may have used a serger instead of doing a French seam because a French seam takes so much time. It's like sewing the garment twice.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Just wanted to catch up with some chat. Lakrita said that there will sometimes be. Oh, I already read that one. There was a time that she wanted to go into beadwork. She worked at a bridal shop as a presser, but when I got my work done, I would go into the sewing room and reapply beads in sequence once the alterations were done. It's a whole backstory, Lakrita. I didn't know
Oh, that is
that.
so nice. And Lakrita, I love doing handwork. I love doing beadwork. I have some gowns that I totally, it took me like 2 weeks just doing the handwork on the gown, but I love sitting and doing the handwork. It's just really, really, to me, it's relaxing, it's creative, and of course,
She
you
said it's
guys
so
know I
calming.
love. Yeah, it is. But some people hate handwork, but I find it to be very relaxing, and I can be creative, and I'm not as stressed like but it's so funny because the end part of a garment, believe it or not, is the most difficult part for me because once I see the design, I want to hand it off to somebody. And I think at the point where I am now, I've gotten to the point where I would love to have a sample hand, a sample room where I could come up with the design. And I have most fashion designers, the top designers, they come up with the concept, like you saw Paul Tazewell sketching, and he came up with the concept. Then he passed it off to the pattern maker or the draper, and then the tailor comes in. That's truly what a costume designer, fashion designer does. You don't necessarily sit and sew. And so I'm like doing all these different roles, being the one hand, the one man in the circus type of thing.
But I feel like that's the I know this is like a new term, but I feel like that's being a content creator in general. You're the editor, you're the concept designer, your makeup, your wardrobe, like that's kind of like you're a catch-all person. And then it's not until you start getting, the followers and stuff that you can start expanding to a management team. And so speaking a little bit about your business, uh capturing your style, Elvaton's brand. I know that you are doing a Black Friday sale for some of your recent styles that you've gotten from Atlantis Mart. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so today, Black Friday, we are running a special, and I think now it's down to 15%, but it started out at like 25% off.
Go
And
to
the
the website,
leopard print,
folks.
go, elvatonza.com. But
Don't
the
walk,
leopard
run.
print dress is one of my designs that I actually hired a manufacturer to. I came up with the concept, ordered the fabric, made the first sample, and then I met with a manufacturer in California, and they actually produced it for me. It's a two-piece set that's completely lined because I believe in quality. And so it's really a nice piece, and it's on sale right now. It started out, I think it was like $150, and it's down to 85. I would like to move them. I have it from extra small to 2XL. And it's a bodycon dress. It could be worn with the shrug or without the shrug with a jacket or
Like Frida's running to the website. She said, "One moment, please."
that's the only thing that I have that other than I think the next largest is extra large, but that was one of my designs. And then the hoodie that I designed is up there. So I have a few pieces. I'm working on things for the spring. My goal is to be ahead. I'm always behind. I always feel like I'm behind, but
And do you
that's
do custom orders as well? Like just based, like I know you're more so getting into the styling. Do you have time where somebody could book with you for like styling and stuff like that?
Oh, definitely. I worked with a client the last election, not this current election. She was running for the 8th district of Congress, and I had so much fun. I was so thankful that she gave me the opportunity to work with her because I was on my way to California when she was trying to contact me and to talk about me helping her come up with a collection. We called it Danielle's Election Collection. And it was so much fun. I was sad when she didn't win, but she won in other ways. And that was a great experience. So, yes, I do work with styling people and the custom designs. It's kind of difficult because I like doing fit-ins once I work with the client. That's imperative, and I don't do custom work without doing fit-ins because like I'm like so stressed like not knowing how it's fitting, and if it's not fitting right, then like worried, like, oh my gosh, what is it going to look like on them? So if the person commits to flying in for fit-ins or flying me out to them, then yes, I do custom work as well. Hint, hint, Beyonce.
Beyonce, call us. We get you right, girl.
Call us.
We get you right. I forgot to ask you, Glam Girl. Earlier, Hawk asked us the same question to that we asked. So, what about the movie has for Wicked? Has that inspired things in your own wardrobe and things that you want to do as far as your own branding? Because I don't know if you know, guys, chat. Glam Gal, she's a fashionista, and I get a lot of inspiration for her. So we're trying to like
Yes.
hype her up and get her ready to start her own Twitch channels and get back to all of her fashionista stuff on Instagram. You should follow her. She's Glam Gal on Instagram, and
And she's
has,
got a few cute ones up there already.
yeah. So has this
You know,
inspired your look?
uh, I think it's inspired me, but I'm not gonna lie. Since becoming a mom, I've fallen off a bit, and I feel out of my element now. So this is just me trying to get back into things, and it's difficult. Not gonna lie, it's a
It
challenge
it is a
because
challenge.
not knowing how I want to dress anymore, because it's not like I can just wear heels and be cute. I have to like
Like,
be cute and comfortable.
But the
So
nice
I
thing
wear
for
a lot
you,
of sneakers and stuff now.
right, but the nice thing for you, Glam Gal, is the fact that after the pandemic, so much shifted to where it's
Yeah,
more about comfort. So I think you still can be comfortably cute and
I
do
like
your
that.
sneakers.
Can we make that a
Comfort.
hashtag? Hashtag comfortably cute.
comfortably cute.
Maybe
And
I
I
better maybe
feel
I better coin that comfortably cute.
Yeah,
comfortably
that could be your very cutesy, very demure.
very
Right,
demure, very
exactly.
cute.
So I think right now for the season that you're in, enjoy being a mom and
Yeah,
and create your wardrobe based on wardrobes are created based on your lifestyle. And
yeah, I'm
so
learning that.
And
so you have to build your wardrobe around what's realistic for you. Like some days I don't feel like dressing up, and I might put on a cute pair of sneakers, jeans, and a t-shirt and a baseball cap. But
Yeah,
it's so funny to me because I did that last week. I had on a leopard print suede cap with like the brim was it's a baseball cap style and the brim is leopard print and then the top is suede and I had that on with like it was a monochromatic color scheme, all one color scheme, and yet people were complimenting me like when I went into the supermarket, when I went into the store, oh your outfit is so cute, and I literally threw it on. So
see, but
everything
that's
that you wear
you.
is cute.
Yeah, there's nothing. I have never seen you in anything like even your
Never.
sweatpant looks. I'm like,
Yeah,
I wear
I
sweatpants and
don't
I
think
look like
I've
a
ever seen you look bad. Never.
yeah, I wear sweatpants and
I
I look
feel
like I
like
just
it.
rolled out of bed and I look rough. You put on sweatpants and
Yeah,
it looks like you were spending a day in a Parisian salon with
I
the accoutrements and bling and the hair. And, like I just don't like it. It doesn't translate for me. Teach me
But
your
it
ways.
doesn't
honestly,
for me either.
but honestly, like my outfit I have on tonight, I'm gonna tell you how I got dressed. And
Yay! Because I was gonna
a
ask
lot of
you.
times, a lot of times,
Yeah,
this is how I get dressed, especially in the morning. I go and I stand in the closet and I peer and I look and I'll swipe and it's like, no, I'm not feeling that. Oh, maybe this. And I put it on. No, I'm not feeling that. And so I go through this whole wardrobe change. And then finally, when something hits, and that's the same way like when you're designing, something hits. So my outfit today, I was looking for, I remembered I had this sweater. I haven't worn this sweater in years, literally years. And I was like, wait a minute, don't I have a pink cardigan? And I didn't pull it out for tonight. I pulled it out because I was thinking about wearing it or styling it with some pants that I just bought. And so today when I was looking for the green, I was like, "Oh, I have a green blouse. Okay, I'll put that on. But wait, I think my tie that I just did on stream, I think that's gonna look cute with that. And I was like, oh wait, my pink earrings, they match the sweater. And then I was like, okay, well, Elphaba had her hat, so I gotta wear like my hat because of the
And
circle and
I
everything.
love it. It feels like it's inspired by the
Yeah,
movie, but it looks like you could wear it like this. You could wear this on the street and just be
yeah.
super fashionable. But and Lakrita said that she would love a get ready with me from all of us. Lakrita, I don't know if you want to see
Yeah,
mine. I was like,
I
today in the
know.
life of a
I
gamer,
probably
I
wear
put on a
gym
hoodie.
outfit.
Well, my bed is always a wreck. Like because like I said, oh I know it was yesterday when I went to see the movie. And I have the sweatshirt that I painted, which I'm gonna paint on stream on Monday. I'm gonna do another one. And I was like, okay, what am I gonna wear with this? I don't want to wear pink pants. So I wore leggings, and then I have this little knit skirt that I put on top of the leggings, and then I, the sneakers. I was like, well, I don't really want to wear white sneakers with that. So I remember I had bought some Keds that were black leather, and so I put those on, and so everything is like an evolution, and that's basically how I get dressed. And I look in the mirror and I'll say, mm, that works, or no, that doesn't work. So I didn't buy any of this to create this look. It was all stuff that I had already in my closet.
Well, I definitely agree with the Krita. I would love to see your thought process on film of like this is how I get ready for
Yeah,
how you come up with your outfits because even for like my graduation, like the lime suit that you had
yeah.
on,
That was
period,
so cute.
per girl, per. um uh Triple Dot said per when you were talking about your outfit, but I definitely agree to your point, Glam Gal. I know you said you've become a mother, and so I think a lot of viewers would love to see how you balance like getting back into being your fashionable side while still being a mother. That's a lot of good content that there are lots of mothers out there and they want to get into being more fashionable, but they're like, how do I do that? So you would be an
Still
inspiration,
trying to figure that out.
and that's a journey that you could go on with your
Yeah,
followers and your viewers, and I know a lot of people would love to see that. Like I am not a mother yet. I am a dog mom, so like it doesn't count. So I would look to your content as future inspiration, be like, hey, I can still do my makeup, I can still get my hair done and all this stuff while taking care of a newborn or a toddler and stuff. So I definitely think that when you're comfortable and you're ready, a lot of people would love to see that.
Actually,
um,
Glam Gal did my makeup when I tried out for Project Runway. Yeah, guys, I tried out for Runway like 3 times, and I felt like I got closer, but I didn't quite make the cut. But Glam Gal did my makeup for the very first time
that
that I
was
tried out
fun.
for Project Runway. But actually, I was actually, to be honest with you, I was petrified to eat the thought of going on Project Runway because I felt like the judges were so brutal with the designers, like, oh, what's wrong with that hem? Like the time it takes to create a garment. Like I said, if you go back and you watch some of the reels of some of Galinda's outfit being made and Elphaba's, you're going to see how much work goes into these garments. And to think that they would come up like Jonathan Kane with season,
Christian
uh,
Siriano.
Yeah,
Christian Siriano, I always loved most of his stuff, and but I can't think of her name. Batani, I can't think of her name. She I don't think she won. She got close, but some of her things were beautiful. It was just a lot of fashion designers up there that I thought were beautiful, and I thought their designs were beautiful. And I felt like if it was really like the industry really is, where you have a sample hand, I said that to me would have been more of a challenge, because then they wouldn't have had any excuse, like as
Yeah.
far as running out of
Why they
time.
couldn't,
If
yeah.
they had Right,
Lakrita
right.
says she said that's amazing and she hopes that you keep trying. I just had an idea. You should host a like Project Runway type of competition for your stream. That would be
Oh,
fun.
that's a good idea.
That would be fun. So eventually, yes, I would love to do that. But unfortunately, the sad thing, like in my area, my county, all of the fashion production courses have been removed from the schools, from the high school. That's why I'm
Mm.
not currently teaching fashion design because they got, soon as our director retired, they got rid of all of the fashion production
Oh,
courses, saying that there wasn't enough interest, and I wanted to do some type of sewing uh, course, like classes for students who were interested. And it's just been very difficult even trying to get people interested because some parents just don't have the finances to commit. Because I had even spoken with a fabric store in Orlando, and they were going to provide me with the sewing machines that the students would take at the end of the summer camp that I was going to do. I did one summer camp with children, and that was fun.
Lakrita said, "Boo, hiss, hiss." That's so sad, and that's why I love the power of things like Twitch and YouTube because I feel as though like if this is something that you're interested in, you could feel that I purchase this word all the time. Niche
Niche, niche.
niche of creating content where a young designer or someone like me who is now getting into cosplay and wants to like get better at sewing, like you can have that avenue on your streams or on your YouTube channel where you start, okay, basic, this is 101, this is a sewing machine, and like you can
That's
create
what
that
I would
content.
need.
I
Same.
actually
This is
I
so
actually wrote notes to do that. And I think that would be on the So What channel, like do maybe like I've done it where I've taught it, like a 6 week course or 8 week course on how do you begin, how do you start? Because when I would teach, like my students would say, well, you know how to do this stuff. And then when I would think about it, I was like, yeah, I do. I've been doing it for so long. And that's why they had it good because I never graded their work. I let them grade the work. We had a rubric and I taught them what to look for. And then we put their samples in piles, in rows. And the students, I would grade with them, and they would have to look at the rubric and say, okay, does that deserve an A or B, C, or D? D was the lowest that they could get. And if they got a D, or actually, if they got any grade that they didn't like, they could redo it and resubmit it for a better grade. And I loved doing it that way because it wasn't me using my standard to grade them. And they actually learned. I have students right now that are using the tools that I taught them. One of my
Oh,
oldest daughter's friends, actually paid for some of her college from what I taught her. She came to my studio and I taught
wow.
her sewing in exchange to her helping me, and she actually made money from it. So
Well,
that
cool.
that's
I just think you're a wealth of knowledge. Like you are a legit fashion designer. You studied
Yeah.
this. You went to high school fashion design or fashion high school. You went to FIT, and so I think sharing your knowledge. I'm appreciative that you even started your So What channel because we get to see all of your creativeness, all of the thought that goes into your designs, and I'm really hopeful that people start to flock to your website and that you start getting the notoriety like the Vera Wings and the Michael Kors and those designers of the world because like you've been doing this for 20 plus years. You've been in this industry, and so I would also love to see you branch out and to start doing some of the costume design stuff for film.
well,
That'll be
I would love. I don't even know how to get into that, but I would love a job, like even being an assistant. I don't have to be the top dog. I would love to be there to help, to yeah, even a stylist for some of the shows, because I think it's so cool. That industry is just so appealing to me.
And I love the content that you just released where you went into the Atlanta Smart and you went through the process of how
yeah.
you're shopping and how you're picking and selecting things. And so uh that's just amazing to see your mind work, because it's like in everyone's respective field, like seeing Shadowhawk when he does his film stuff and like how he sets up scenes and how he like how his brain puts that all together. I just love learning that about you guys and like seeing how things look in your brain, because with content creation, being a streamer, like I dabble in these different things, and what is in my brain and when I talk to Hawk, how he makes that happen, I cannot do that myself. Like that is a talent. You have a talent. Hawk has a talent in your respective
You're
fields.
pretty impressive. I feel like you're very talented.
Oh,
Yeah, that last outfit that you made, you blew me away
Yeah.
because I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing stuff that I've never done. Like I was amazed. I was genuinely amazed at how you pulled those shoulder pieces together and then all of the intricate work with the scales, putting that on. I was like, whoa,
I
that
was
was
like, wow, she made that. That's
right.
amazing.
Lakrina said that she'd love to have you in her wardrobe department because those ladies stay missing the mark. Listen, listen, we gotta get Gergs. We gotta get Gergs styling. We gotta help out. I know a designer. Her name is Alvatanza, so she's good at the styling. Let's get her out there.
Now, Reaper, to pull us back to the film, you had some clips that you wanted to.
Oh,
Can
it
we
was
see those?
pictures. I don't know. Hawk is running that, and I think he was trying to do that a little bit, but I think we can like put it on later from the
Okay.
things that we talked about earlier. But it was just essentially showing the different outfits that they had, like we talked about from Galinda's, first gown that she had, and the number Norn one's the Wicket, and then just kind of. I'm so sorry. That's Ezio
I heard him.
chiming,
I heard
chiming,
Ezio.
chiming in. Um, I'm sorry about that, but just talking about the different pictures that I found from Vanity Fair where they highlighted, Elphaba's hat, and then there were some pictures of Madame Morrible and her outfit, like her villain outfit, finally that we got to see. Lakrita said, favorite combo with Reaper about her cosplay. Her, I don't know how I know how to do this. Me, your ancestors do. It's in your blood. Oh, I remember that conversation because I was like, I don't know how I know how to do this stuff. Like it just came up out of nowhere, and I think I've learned a lot from watching you. So what, like, just all of the stuff that you do on your own time. Oh, we do have it up there. So I don't know if you can see this the stream, but there is a picture of Elphaba and Galinda together with the gown from the number Popular, where she had the like little frilly lace outfit on, and
Oh
Elphaba's in
yeah.
her like her white gown and like dressing robe. And so that's just like we talked about earlier, how that's highlighting the free form, like frilliness of Galinda, and how they incorporated that into every little aspect of her wardrobe. This is like her sleeping attire, and it's still whimsical and frilly.
Hmm.
I love it.
Lakrita said there's a longer story captured by Madame Marvel's hair as it changed over the course of the musical that they didn't touch on in the film. Oh, really? That's interesting. This picture that's up right now. So it's Galinda's gown that we were talking about in the beginning. You can see all the ruffles. You can see her crown with like the circles and the lines, and then Elphaba is sitting next to her in her black outfit that she wears during Defying Gravity with the hat. I thought it was so funny that a lot of Elphaba's outfit was inspired by Galinda. Like she gave her the hat at the end.
Yeah,
She grabs.
but go back to the hat
Yeah.
because she was being mean
Yes, she
when
was being
she
mean.
first,
Yeah.
because she was like, I don't know anyone that I hate enough to give them this hat. And then Elphaba walks in, and then it's
yeah.
like, oh, this would be great for you. And so that showed her shady side, like we
Yeah.
talked about that before.
Yeah.
That to me, I was like, wow. And then because Elphaba didn't know, she was accepting of it. And I think modern day, that's what happens a lot of times. We don't even realize the subtleties of what is being said
Mhm.
to us. Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't see
The
the
intent behind why somebody's doing
right,
something.
right,
And
right.
but I love that Elphaba owned it. So like if you think back to the Ozdas ballroom scene where
I love
she,
that.
oh gosh, sobbing tears. I was like trying to hold my sniffles in because I was just sobbing. Um, but she, you see
The whole
her like,
dance.
yeah, she's like, okay, I'm gonna own this, and then she starts doing her dance, and she's like, I'm gonna own this moment. Yeah. Oh gosh, I was
I love it.
sobbing, absolutely sobbing. And so I
I
love
like
how,
that she owned it.
yeah, I love how it started out as a slight, but Elphaba in her character, like you said, she has a very strong character. And then what Glinda says in that scene where people are like, she just doesn't care what people think. And she's like, yes, she does. She just owns it. And so that is a theme that we see continually through the movie. This is another one that we have up right now is Ariana Grande. She's in the outfit that we see at the end of the movie in the Defying Gravity number. It's a light pink, very like angelic type of outfit that she has on. Like they're trying to frame her as this good person. And like I mentioned in part two, we start to see her colors shift a little bit to more the purple because now she's morally complicit in what she did to Elphaba and what the wizard, you got me saying the wizard and Madame
Sorry.
Morrible are trying to do.
But
Galen,
the thing also that stood out to me was because like in the Wizard of Oz, I never understood why the monkeys, the flying monkeys, why they were happy with, because I thought they were loyal to the Wicked Witch, right? And so this opened up our eyes. Like they kept blaming Elphaba.
for
She did that
everything.
to you.
Yeah.
And with their wings popping out, that's how they started to fly. Now, for anyone who's read the book, is that how it's depicted in the book? Because I know a lot of artistic licenses goes into some of the modern
Making the
films.
films, yeah.
Hmm.
Lakrita
So
said,
was that
oh, sorry. I just wanted to read a comment. Lakrita said that Galinda is the embodiment of what the devil meant for evil. God turned it around for my good. She is the
yes,
embodiment.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
what question were you asking?
About the monkey's wings, like, is
Mhm.
that how was it from the spell that
I
Alphaba
I'm pretty
cast?
sure it was from I have not read the books because the books are apparently a lot different than the play. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the books, but in the I don't remember seeing that in from the flying monkeys like in the play. I think they added that into the film because they touch more onto like
Oh
her
yeah,
being able to
definitely.
read the grimoire, and you can see the contrast between her, the wizard, and Elphaba. Like Elphaba actually knew how to read it, and the wizard continued to pretend like he was a con man pulling the wool over everybody's eyes in Oz.
Now the
In
little sister, she's not Dorothy.
No, the litter sister is the Wicked Witch of the East, the one that the house get dropped
Oh,
on. So
oh, okay.
she's about to get worse. Like if you didn't like her in part one, I just say buckle up because she gets a lot worse in part two.
The little sister, the wheelchair.
Mhm. There's so
Oh,
much that
yeah.
happens. Yes, hush. Let's see. Let's catch up on some of the chat. It's crazy how much I cried, even though I knew it was going to happen. Same, Lakrita. Like I've seen the play. I've listened to the songs. I know what's gonna happen. And I'm just sitting there, just crying my eyes out. The picture that Hawk has up right now is from the Ozdas ballroom scene, and it has Elphaba with the hat on, and then Galinda's outfit. It kind of looks like a flower. Do you remember where it was like a lotus color? It was like the
Yes,
orange pinky color. Uh,
yes, yes,
out.
It's like almost corally color.
Yeah.
yes.
So there's a lot of contrasting colors, and I think that's super powerful with like film in general how they're able to even pull in colors like within the lighting and the film background, um, to contrast what's going on in the scene so that you can evoke an
Yeah.
emotion, because there is like the coloring is blue, and so in that scene you felt sadness, you felt, just a heavy weight. And I loved, I'm about to get into a little bit of cinematography. I'm sure
I
Hawk is like
know. I
jumping for
love the
joy.
cinematography.
You notice that the framing when Alphaba is doing her little dance, it's like focused on her. There's like a spotlight on her in that moment, and like a little vignette where everything else is a little bit muted as compared to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love
And I
all the
think that was
things that they did with the light.
symbolism. I think that was like a symbolism, like I'm coming out. I'm breaking free. I'm finally breaking free. I don't really care what you think about me. I'm
Tell it,
going
girl.
to
Say it.
going to be me. And that's what we say, be exclusively you. So I think that was important. That was an important scene where we see her break free from all of the stereotypes, all of the
Oh.
what.
Look, I didn't even notice this. Lakrita said the scene during The Wizard and I, where the light, the crystal glass scene where she was singing about like, oh, maybe you'll, degreenify me and like change my skin color. The lighting turned her skin back to brown. I didn't even notice
Oh,
that
I
during that scene.
thought I saw, but I wasn't sure if like they had done that or if it was just me seeing things.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what she's singing about, and she's like, maybe he'll degreenify me. Oh, that's not important to me. But she's like, actually, that is kind of important. I'll ask, maybe I won't be green anymore. But then by the end of the movie, she accepts that she's green, and this is her.
And she hated what happened to the monkeys too. Like they made it seem like she purposely did that. She didn't know what she was doing. They
Yeah.
knew, the wizard and Miss Marble knew what they were doing, and
On
that's why
site
they're like,
beef with
oh,
Miss
can you read
Marble.
it? Can you read the book?
But any other thoughts? I know we've dissected a lot, and we've talked about just from like costume design. I'm trying to talk. I know we've talked a lot about the costume design. Any other like thoughts that you've had that we haven't touched on yet? I know you had a couple of notes that you wanted to cover before we kind of finished up.
Well, we set the two little notes because I got to a point where I was like, I'm gonna miss the movie if I keep taking notes.
Hawk has another picture up, and it was the outfit that you were talking about earlier, Glam Gal, where
Oh yeah,
uh,
the suit.
the suit, yeah. And I just loved how structured everything is, and I love the set design. I just think they did such an amazing job with this. And um we could have said no, 4 more hours of discussion.
What she say? 4 more hours?
Yes. I think we should do more of these chats, because I love this
Well, we
discussion.
definitely
Yeah,
can
this
do them
was
from movies, and then especially when they start doing all of the Emmys and the Oscars,
Oh my gosh,
and
we
then
can we watch it
I
together
love
and
it.
rate all of
I
the
know.
gowns.
I love
we,
to
we
do that.
we can be our own fashion police.
I'm like,
yes,
why are they wearing that? I love watching.
Oh my gosh, that'll be so much fun. Elvatanza, so what? Capturing your style. So from this movie, what are some things that you want to like incorporate more into your designs, your styling? Like if you had like a perfect client, like say you're getting them ready for the red carpet, like how would you incorporate your own hints of style with the client style to get them red carpet ready?
well, one thing I think is actually seeing, like, first of all, having them do a questionnaire so that I can see what they like and don't like. Because somebody I know can't stand poofy sleeves and ruffles,
Not
and
me
I'm not gonna
getting called
call
out
anybody
on
out.
stream. Not me getting called out on stream. Okay, I
So,
don't like
but those,
ruffles or poofy
but
sleeves.
but those are some of the things that as a designer you have to take in consideration, but then you still have to make a call, because now I'm gonna go off tangent a bit. We just discovered from Quincy Jones that Michael Jackson wanted him to take the violin out of that the
Don't
first
stop till you get
so,
enough.
yes, the
The violence good.
and he was like, Quincy Jones was like, absolutely not. And everybody is like so happy that he didn't take it out, because that's what makes that song so iconic. That's the part we listen to. When that comes on, we know what's coming next. And
Mhm.
so I think as a designer, you've got to, it's called editing. You have to know how to edit for your client, because even when I worked with Danelle, she told me, she was like, I would have never picked that for myself. And it looked cute on her. I was like, at least try it. That's what I tell people. At least try it and see how you like it. And you have to be comfortable in it, though. And so I think one of the takeaways from me is getting to know the client better, to see, um, finding out, well, what is this for? What, like, because Glam Gal said, like, right now, she's in her mom era. And so she's not going to be wearing a ball gown unless they're going on a cruise. And I don't even think they do ball gowns like on the cruises anymore after the
Do
pandemic.
formal night.
Yeah, formal night is so laid back. Everybody wants to do a form. Well, can't say everybody, but a lot of people want to do it. So I think coming up with a better way to assess my clients, to make sure I'm meeting their need. And also, I wanted to take, actually, believe it or not, a course at my old school to, like, with styling, to get some more tips, because I think you should always be learning. Like, you can never stop learning. I don't care what age you are. There's something more. I would love to study abroad. I would like to go to a couture house and see how things are done.
Well,
So
Have you ever
I
been to Fashion Week?
never.
we looked at it and it is quite pricey, but we looked at Fashion Week in Paris and in New York. They have like specials that you have to book where it's like you buy a ticket package and that gives you like hotel and gives you tickets to the events and like a driver and stuff like that. And the packages were like $600 plus. And so I'm hoping, with continuing to grow her channels and like on Instagram, TikTok, on Twitch, that we can like start getting her to affiliate so that we can get her some subscribers so that we can start funding these trips. But one thing before we get too far, the creator said that we should do Fashion Police Black Edition, obviously hosted by us Black folks, and that would go viral. But um I definitely I encourage you to like look for those opportunities, because who knows, like they may have like different things that you can go like learn about styling and like have a special fun trip, and those are things that we can help you plan, because I'm sure like doing a day in the life with me while you're in Paris, like people would eat that up.
And I had so much fun when I went to Paris. I was petrified when I went by myself, because I had never traveled anywhere by myself, but I wanted to go to Paris more than I was fearful of going to another country by myself. And it was the most freeing thing. I learned how to take the subway there. I was like, "Oh, this is easier than New York." I mean, I grew up in New York taking the subway to school, for high school and for college. And then, like I said, I found the little fashion museum where I was able to see the clothing up close and personal. I found the Eiffel Tower. I was giving people directions like I knew where I was going. So I definitely, Paris is on my list to go back to. And I like to go to Spain. One of the companies that I made, Rose, the design Rose, I purchased fabric from a company that's in Spain, and I love their garments. I mean, their fabric. I haven't purchased any fabric from them in several years because it got to be very discouraging creating these expensive garments because the fabric is not inexpensive. And it was discouraging to keep investing so much money. It's like I'm not a museum. I don't want these garments to sit in my studio. I want somebody to wear them. And so, in fact, right now I have a silk fabric that I bought from them that I wanted to create. I designed it already, but I didn't make it because I said I'm not going to spend all that money on the fabric. And then, oh, I just lost. What did I lose? Oh, my earpiece.
Your earpiece. Hawk
Yeah.
asked if you could give your best French phrase that you used while you were in Paris.
Pardon, parlez-vous English? And so then the man said, he answered me in French, and I was like, no comprende. I was like, oh wait, that's Spanish, that's not French. No comprende is French. And he says, would it be easier if I spoke to you in English? I was like, yes, yes, yes. Because I knew absolutely no French. I was totally unprepared. I didn't know the exchange amount, but I tell you what, I did fight for my room. Like I booked a room, and then when I thought about it and I did the exchange, I was like, he's ripping me off for this room. And I went back downstairs to the front desk and I was like, excuse me, no, I want my money back. I'm gonna find me a different hotel. And the man said, I reduced the price for you. And so then when I got back to the States, somebody my my husband actually spoke to one of his friends. He was like, oh, she got a great deal on her room. I was like, oh, I did.
That's awesome. Um, so speaking to Glam Gal, I asked the question of, so what of like what you know are inspired by. So moving forward from this, what type of things are you going to start incorporating into your own looks or your own like social media stuff? Like what are you going to be inspired by?
What am I gonna incorporate into my own style?
Mhm.
Let's see. More pink, more green.
I love it. I getting ready for this
Sparkle.
stream. Yeah, getting ready for the stream. I was like, man, I don't have a lot of pink stuff. Like I have a lot of like pink eyeshadows and stuff. And so, for myself, I'm trying to do this thing where I do like a different makeup look for each stream that I do. And so like today's
Oh,
look,
that's
was
cool.
inspired by the pink and green. And so, I definitely think that's for me. I'll start incorporating more of that into like my makeup and stuff. But
More
uh,
texture, like this top is fur.
yeah, it's structures. Yeah, getting
Yeah.
back to. I know. I don't know if shoulder pads are coming back, but
No, they
structured.
have been. Where you
They,
been? Shoulder pads have been back.
I hate shoulder pads, so it'd have to be like a really, really good outfit for me to uh do the shoulder pads.
Well, I tell you, I hated puff sleeves, but I actually wore a jacket that was thrifted. One of my friends gave it to me, and th- as confident as you guys think I am with some of my fashions, sometimes it's like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I could pull that off. But so I had put this jacket on. I took it off, and then one night I was like, you know what? I'm wearing it. If it looks vintage, so what? So what? And so I put it on and I wore it to church, and everybody was complimenting me on this jacket. I was like, oh my gosh. I was just amazed. I get amazed when with some of the things I pull together and get compliments on.
The creator said, "No princess sleeves or bows for her. I feel you. No ruffles, no poofy. I can't do it." But I do have to say thank you to So What, because you encouraged me a lot to try on things that I normally wouldn't do. So I did buy a set of bows for my hair, and when I sent you the picture of it, you're like, "You don't wear bows," and I'm like,
I've
I'm
been
like, I'm trying
seeing
to
a lot of
expand.
people people wear bows in their hair now.
Yeah, it's coming back, and so like that's something that I'm going to be trying to incorporate. But I I appreciate all of your encouragement to like step out of your comfort zone and try new stuff because, like you said, you never know how it's going to look until you try it on. So even if you don't buy the outfit, try it on, see how it looks on you, to
Right.
see if this is something that you can incorporate into your style. And one thing that you highlight to me a lot is that even like if it looks okay on like the hanger, you still need to try it on because it'll have a different feel once you put it on, and just to give it a try. Just give it a try.
And don't be a slave to sizes, because I will take sizes, different sizes, and whichever one looks the best on me, that's the one I'm going to buy. I'm not going to leave it because it's a size 12 and I'm a size 10 or 8. Because every designer uses different sizes. There's what's called vanity sizing, where they let you believe, oh, well, in a Oscar de la Renta, I'm a size 4. What are you talking about, a size 10? Well, it's probably closer to a 10, but because they size their garments down, then you wear a smaller size. So the more expensive the garment is, the smaller you might wear in a size. So don't let the tag on the inside persuade you against trying on a larger or smaller size. Like I bought a sweatshirt from Macy's, like I said, that I'm going to paint on stream. And I immediately went to a medium. I'm like, I'm a medium. I'm going to try on this medium. And I tried on the medium and I was like, oh man, this is kind of big. So I went down to a small. And so that was a case in point to what I'm saying. Just try it on, and depending on the look that you want, then decide, because a lot of women get discouraged because it's like, oh, I'm wearing this large size. Nobody's going to come up to you and say, let me look at your hang tag and see what size that garment is.
Yeah.
And you still might need something tailored, because we're not a dress form. We're not stiff. And so you might, even if it's better to go a size larger and have it tailored than it is to go smaller and then think you're going to let it out. So always go bigger and then get it tailored to fit you better. But yeah, those are some of the tips that I tell everybody. You can always take something in, but you can't always let it out.
I
Glam
think
gal.
because of my
Oh,
height, I shy away from longer things.
mm,
You can
Longer
always have it
dresses.
hemmed.
yeah. Glam gal Hawk asked, do you have any like fashion knows? Like I said, I don't like puff sleeves or ruffles. Do you have any fashion knows that you don't like?
I don't like when people wear things that are too tight, or it looks like they're just not fitting in it. Like if your toes are hanging over your shoes, or
Not the
something like that.
claws.
Like,
Not the
come
claws.
on, like just wear a shoe that fits. Like, come on now.
Lakrita said that she always waits till the day of and puts on what she picked out, then be looking crazy on the red carpet. No, Lakrita, we gotta get you trying on stuff before the red carpet so you can know and
Yes.
feel
Oh,
good.
that's a good point, because, oh my gosh, who was it? It was a celebrity. Maybe it may have been Oprah Winfrey. It was somebody that didn't try the gown on, and the gown, like, it fit horribly. I can't
Oh.
remember. If I misspoke, somebody can correct me. But when they went to, because they were in such a rush, they did not try the gown on, and the gown did not fit. And that's why I am a stickler for at least three fittings, because I need to know that you're not going to be out there looking crazy. And then I'm the one being blamed for you out there
It's
looking
like, yeah,
crazy,
it
because
was
I
that
tell you, they
stylist.
come for you.
It was that stylist
They come
capturing your
for you.
style.
they come for you on the red carpet.
That's the
What
first
was
thing
that
they
designer
ask you is,
thinking?
who are you wearing?
Oh, yeah. Well, ladies, this has been a wonderful chat. Any final thoughts related to the fashion of Wicked? Any plugs that you want to put out there? Now is your time. We'll start with Glam Gal.
Don't have anything else to add.
Well, you got
But
some
this
stuff to
has been
plug.
so much fun.
Plug your Instagram, girl. Plug your Instagram. Let the people know.
Glamgal.fashion. That's my tag on Instagram.
Yay!
But
I
it's
want to.
been so much fun doing this. It's
I had a
definitely
lot
out
of
of my
fun.
comfort zone.
Good. I want to shout out Lighthawk Studios for helping me with a lot of, and Reaper for helping me with a
Yeah.
lot of the behind the scenes stuff because, like, yeah, some of this stuff, like, I can fake it till I make it, but it takes me a long time to pull videos and things together. And so Lighthawk Studios has been an inspiration to me and worked hard to get me ready for Black Friday. And even the film that we did in New York will always be near and dear to my heart, the Unveiled film. If you haven't seen that on my website, go and watch it because my husband actually contributed to that film. And I just remember he was our driver, and he was like, "Get out, get out, get out, get out." Okay, because it was in New York, and so with some of the locations, it was just really hard to film. And he was such a trooper to help bring that film to life. I don't know if he didn't. I don't believe he got to see it at all. And so I want to shout him out. And then Glam Gal has done voiceovers for me. So if anybody hears of a voiceover job, she does a phenomenal job with voiceovers. And I just love that she's done a few for me. And I want to encourage her to
Thank you.
continue to do that. And then Reaper, I want to continue to encourage you to do your wardrobing because, like I said, what you did with that last outfit was totally
Yeah.
amazing. Your cosplay outfit, it makes me want to do cosplay. And here's a
I
plug for
know.
somebody that I don't know. You've got to go see my Froggy. I think my Froggy stuff, and she's a doll maker. I do dolls too, and that's why I follow her. She has an
Oh,
Elphaba doll that I don't know if she made the doll or if Mattel made Elphaba a doll, but she actually goes to the movies and she's sitting in the movies.
Oh,
You
that's
got
so cute.
it is so cute. She goes to see the film Wicked, and the doll is just so cute.
Well, just plugging all your socials. So you can find So What at Capturing Your Style on Instagram. Her personal business page is Elvatanza. It's the same socials on YouTube. So Capturing Your Style on YouTube. And then for TikTok, it's the at Elvatanza. We're
I
trying
need to
to
get better with.
we're gonna work on your TikToks. I got you. I got you.
I'm
I'll be your
never on TikTok.
um but I definitely appreciate you inviting us on to have this chat. Like, we definitely got to do more of this. Fashion week, subathon. Once we get you to affiliate, we're getting those numbers up, we're getting those followers. So the way that you as the viewer can help us for So What's channel is just to get the word out there, let all your friends know that she talks about fashion. She is a highly decorated fashion designer and does a lot of cool stuff on stream. Like, she's even wearing one of her designs that she did on stream. So join the Discord, just share her content so that we can get her to affiliate, like, follow, and subscribe. This has just been a wonderful, wonderful chat, and I appreciate all of us for getting together to do this. And there'll definitely be more chats like this. We'll have more guests, so definitely let us know, other, like, if you want us to cover other films or other fashion news, like, just
Ideas,
send
any
ideas, send it to us.
streams,
Yeah, any stream
any
ideas, like,
streams.
yeah. So what? I'll let you take it away for the ending, since this is your
Well,
channel.
like I said, I want to thank everybody who has followed me thus far. I appreciate it. Let me know when I'm on, if there's something I'm not explaining. Let me know if you want to see me do different things. Like, I love dolls. I grew up playing with dolls. I had Barbie dolls that, and I never let my mom forget that she made me give my dolls away because they would probably be worth something. I had a ton of Barbie dolls. I had the first Barbie Corvette, which I would still have
Oh,
to this day. But
wow.
she told me, "You're too old to be playing with dolls," and so she made me give them to the neighbors' kids. So I have a Barbie that I bought, and I have a few Barbies that my husband bought me to design some clothes with. So on the stream, you're gonna see some of my doll making too, and me designing clothes for my dolls because I love doing that as well. So thank you again. It's been fun. I love spending time with you all.
All right,
Thank you.
and on
It was
that
fun.
note, we're heading out.
Peace.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Good night.
Good
Good night.
night. Uh, it's still live.